What's your prediction?
Vicious win.
Vicious win. Thank you, Dad.
Love you.
Love you too.
So, did you guys watch the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight this weekend? I know I did. Me and my dad, we sat outside. There's a TV there. We stood up at 3 a.m. to watch this motherfucking shit just for it to start freezing, and we got all pissed off. It was such a fuck up from Netflix side. I saw on Facebook there was so many memes about the screen freezing on 99% on Mike Tyson's ass, and just a lot of memes in general about how shitty Netflix's streaming service is. They've tried it a few times and all of them are fails. I don't know how they don't learn about this, you know. But in conclusion, please enjoy the video today. Get your snacks, get your popcorn. It's going to be a banger, so make sure you stay till the end. Yeah, I just wanted to say I watched some of the Mike Tyson fight. I know it was this weekend. A lot of you might have too. So we can share this funny moment in history. Fuck Jake Paul beating up an old man. I don't know how he thought he would. He got money, sure, but yeah, I don't like the guy. I don't know. What do you think? Let's watch.
Eventually, we're going to have to get David Grusch into a skiff. We've got to figure out a way around that. They blocked us every avenue, and I think that I would like to see a couple of those folks in the skiff, gloves off, so they can tell us everything they know. And then I think you would see a lot more people in Congress become believers, if you will, because there's still a lot of them that doubt any of it. They joke about it, and they joke with me about it. And, Burchett, I can't believe you're dealing with this, but the reality is we're spending tens of millions of dollars on something that the federal government says does not exist.
So, Tim Burchett is part of something called the UFO Caucus, a group of Congress members that are trying to release information pertaining to the UFO topic and subject. What he's talking about, a skiff, a secure compartmented, secure facility. Man, wouldn't I love to be a fly on the wall in that room, right? Goddamn, I wonder what would be said. There would be a lot of tension, right? I hope that happens as well. I miss hearing about David Grusch. He's such a people's person, for the people and all that. He has mild autism, which reinforces that, because that is a trait. People are a lot more transparent and honest with their intentions, and like pure, if that word can be used. It's really interesting.
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Maybe in a, if we could get in a confidential area, skiff, we could talk about that. But unfortunately, we were denied access to the skiff, and that's very unfortunate in this scenario.
I can't discuss that publicly, but I did provide that information both to the Intel committees and the Inspector General.
And we could get that in the skiff if we were allowed to get in a skiff with you. Would that be probably what you would think?
Sure, if you had the appropriate accesses, yeah.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super. Thank you. And I yield back.
All this talk about skiffs, skiff this, skiff that. Guys, can we not speak openly anymore? Like, it's all national security. We get to know this. You don't. You don't have a need to know. Oh my God.
If we were in a secure setting, if we were in a skiff, would you be able to provide or get access to something, whether it's visuals or material that we could put our hands on, or biologics that would convince me, that would show me that we have non-human origins?
Sir, that decision would not be mine. That would be to the gatekeepers still in the U.S. government.
And who would we, so if you were in our shoes, where would you go from here? How would you get that information? A lot of times we just don't know who to ask because we don't know where to go next. So if you were in our shoes, where would you go?
Well, I prefer to answer that question in a closed session. However, we established ARROW for that very purpose, and unfortunately, under its previous leadership, it failed. So one would hope that they would have the authorities necessary to do that. Let's hope that this new iteration of leadership will be successful.
AARO has expressed to the committee that, like any other federal government agency, it's faced challenges in its establishment, specifically in hiring staff to manage UAP historical records and coordinating with other federal agencies. While these agencies have been helpful to us in understanding the challenges that come from collecting UAP data, none of them have been able to substantiate the claims made at this hearing last year by David Grusch. Despite our committee members endlessly questioning these agencies inside and outside of a SCIF. I hope our witnesses today will be able to provide evidence and content that is worthwhile to our pursuits of eliminating government waste and increasing transparency. To help alleviate some of the roadblocks, I'm supportive of measures that were included in last year's National Defense Authorization Act to increase transparency and improve record-keeping measures when it comes to UAPs. But I believe there's still more work to go. I co-led the Safe Airspace for Americans Act with Ranking Member Garcia, which requires the Federal Aviation Administration to develop procedures to collect UAP data from civilian aviators.
So right now we're going to be checking out Luna, and if you know about Luna on this channel, we love over here, putting the best part at the end, you always know. She recently attended a podcast, but the podcast person was asking the right questions. So if you guys know the name of this podcast, shout out to this podcast, and yeah, definitely go check it out and give a like over there, but not before doing it here, because subscribe right now and you will receive a brand new alien vehicle outside your door that you're gonna be controlling with your motherfucking mind, okay? So no scam, no joke at all. Subscribe, like, comment, share. That helps the most. Share with anyone you know, your grandma, your cousin, your fucking nephew, your family group, I don't care. We got some people that are over the age of 65 watching this channel, guys. Shout out to you. Yeah, we're multi-generational up in this bitch, right?
I do not want to do a complete 180 here and talk about UFOs, UAPs, because UFOs used to be the talk of conspiracy theories. Now, really not so much. You participated in the House Oversight Committee's UAP hearing on Wednesday. What was your biggest takeaway? What did you learn that shocked you the most?
Well, fun note, did you know that Matt Gaetz, one of the founding members of the UAP caucus here in Washington, is now going to be the AG? Mike Waltz is now the National Security Advisor. Also,
so I've heard there's a lot of controversy around Matt Gaetz recently. Donald Trump is nominating him for some really large-ass positions that he's going to have so much power. And this has upset and caused controversy around the whole House of Congress. Every politician, like, there's on both sides, it's anarchy.
Traveled in to come to the UAP hearings. So, and then Marco Rubio has been a big advocate for disclosure, and he's now the Secretary of State. And so I think exciting things for our country in that regard. But, you know, look, I've always looked at it through a scientific lens and perspective. You know, when you have many people coming forward from the State Department, from NSA, from different government agencies, from the military, stating that UAPs are real, and then you have this aspect of technological advancements. For us, it is a national security issue to ensure that we know what's happening, but also, too, I think it's silly from a mathematical perspective and also a religious perspective to think that human beings are the only creation that God did create. And so, as you know, we have a big galaxy, and there's many galaxies out there. And so to put it in perspective, do I think we're alone? No. Am I very curious? Yes. Has it been fun to kind of help tailor and conduct these committees? Absolutely. And I think we're going to continue to push forward with more committees here into the 119th Congress. But what I will state is yesterday, you know, was I a little bit disappointed in some of the responses from the witnesses? Yes, we got some great stuff But I'm not interested in hearing about people's books. I'm interested in hearing about whether or not people can answer the questions, because we are trying to get this into the archives so that people have access to the information. And so I wish there was a little less pitching and more talking.
So where are you going to push this issue next? What do you think is the biggest question that you want an answer to?
For me specifically, I always like to look at the evidence previously, and then also kind of doing follow-up on what's happening. Having Walt over as the National Security Advisor, and then Rubio as the Secretary of State, and now Matt as the Attorney General, I'm going to be asking if they have access to files that were previously denied. So that's next on the roster. It helps having a Rolodex that has a lot of people in a lot of important positions now at the head of state.
So I guess it's true. Trump will be helping out in exposing all this bullshit, right? But Luna making plans as always. She doesn't want to read your book, Alessandro. She doesn't want to read your book, Ross. I love both those guys, but Luna don't got time for that. She's making laws and creating transparency and giving the people information, okay? So in conclusion today, make sure you subscribe, notifications on to stay up to date with all the information floating around. To make sense of it, we can check it out together and reason through it. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.